Hello and thanks for keeping the date with us this morning. And if you just joined us here, we head straight to our main conversation for today. There's hardship in the land. This is the message that has eloquently found expression on Nigerian streets as no fewer than 3 states have now witnessed mass protest by impoverished citizens against the rising cost of living and insecurity. Hundreds of residents in Niger State capital, trooped out en masse to protest the hardship in Nigeria caused by the rising cost of living and the economic downturn. This was coming 2 days after an equal number of women, including local bread producers popularly known as Gurasa, marched through the streets of the ancient city of Kano, protesting the high cost of living, especially the hike in the price of flour used largely for the production of the staple food. Without mobilization from any labor movement, women and youths on Monday obstructed traffic on major roads in the Minna metropolis to register their grievances against the growing hardship in the country. Efforts by the police to control the crowd almost resulted in violence as protesters asked police to leave, forcing the police to fire several shots in the air. The protesters carried placards with the inscription, "No food, we are dying of hunger," and demanded a better condition of living and a reduction in the cost of living for the citizenry. They accused the political office holders of insensitivity to their plight, even as they lamented their inability to feed even once a day. In the studios with me to do justice to our main conversation for today, still in the studios with me is Barrister Jide Ologo. Thank you so very much, sir, for hanging around.
You're welcome.
I sincerely do appreciate you.
It's my pleasure.
All right. So, and joining us right about now is Dr. Olayinka Oyegbile. He is a communicator and also a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Enterprise Morning today. All right, so let's kick off this very sensitive story that's staring right in our faces as Nigerians. But in doing that, I would love to read out a quote from Martin Luther King. He said, "Why should there be hunger and deprivation in any land, in any city, at any table, when man has the resources and the scientific know-how to provide all mankind with the basic necessity of life? There is no deficit in human resources. The deficit is in human will." Coming from Martin Luther King. And this is coming at a time when Nigerians are saying that what the present administration is doing is, number one, reducing the purchasing power of people. Number two, slowing down the economy. Number three, collecting more taxes. How true is this statement coming from Martin Luther King, which he has made, and coming from Nigerians? Let me start with you, Dr. Olayinka.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with Martin Luther King. Because what is happening now is a very delicate and dangerous thing, which I hope those in power will be able to stem before it gets out of hand. There has been no deliberate step taken, as far as I know, or as far as I can see, to control the terrorism or the kidnapping and everything that goes on. You know, the reason is that when we talk about inflation and all that, they talk about, wow, agriculture is our mainstay and all that. We only pay lip service to it.
True.
Now, farmers are being kidnapped on their way to farm. Farmers are being killed on their farm. Herders are not allowing farmers to farm, and so on and so forth. So, when this happens, how are people going to go to farm? The government has not come out to say that this is the steps we are taking to make sure that people get to their farm easily. And when people are not able to go to the farm, what happens? it becomes difficult for food to be produced.
True.
So when the Niger State governor yesterday gave a knee-jerk reaction that is banning trucks from coming to evacuate food, I laughed. You cannot cut off the face, you cannot cut off the head because the head is having headache. Because if you say, okay, we are not going to allow food to be bought and taken out of the state, the farmers that have labored on their farm, who have stayed off the kidnappers and the herders and are able to harvest from their farms, and you are not saying they shouldn't sell their farm produce
To whoever they please to.
what are you saying? So the government shouldn't think that is the solution to it. The solution to it is governors, security, and the federal government and so on. They must find a way to stem this crisis. Now you ask yourself, when we talk of rising cost of living, federal government, when you look at the federal allocation since May last year, every month it continues to rise. The federal allocation, the state allocation, local government allocation. Then you ask yourself, where does this money sink into? As far as I'm concerned, I've not seen anywhere. I live in Ota. The road from Ota to out of Ota or into Ota is in a terrible state. And it has been like that in the past 8 years. Allocations have been improving both at the federal and state level. We are just saying, we are going to do it, we are going to do it. They have not started working on it. So you now ask yourself, okay, so all this big money that you are getting, where is it going? You said taking away the so-called subsidy. I always call it so-called because I don't believe there's any subsidy. Okay, you take the so-called subsidy away, and you promise that when you take the subsidy away, you are going to have more money to build more roads, to build more infrastructure. The national grid has broken down in the last 24 hours or so.
Yeah.
In the last 6 or 7 months, this government came in. So the money they made.
Yeah. 9 trillion.
So where is the money going? Nobody knows. Nobody is hearing. And you know, there is a saying. I like to quote Russian writer, Tolstoy, in one of his books, Anna Karenina. He said, all happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. What is happening in Niger State, as the Yoruba would say, is ongubobo. That this is the beginning. This is just the beginning, because those who are making it, they are happy in their own way. But the poor families that are unhappy, everyone has his own way that is unhappy. True. Everybody knows the way, the place where the shoe is pinching.
True.
That is why those people are coming out. As we said, this was not even galvanized by any labor movement. It was not galvanized by any union. It's just ordinary women who came out and said that, look, the money that we are buying rice, that we are buying flour, and we're buying this is getting high every day. The government must do something about it. And this is the best time for the government to sit down. The government cannot continue to tell us things will get bad before they get good. I've been hearing that since the 60s. Is it going to get worse than what we have today? I mean, is it the time that people are no longer able to move on the road, that the government is going to believe that things are bad? Because ordinarily, people who are decent, you see very decent men and women approach you and say, Oga, please, I've not eaten since morning. And you look at such a man or woman, you know that if not that poverty or hunger has driven this man, his dignity will not allow him to come and meet you. So what do you do? And you yourself, you don't have anything. I think what has happened in Niger State is a call to action.
Exactly.
And as James Baldwin says, is the fire next time. The government must be ready to do something now.
Exactly. So, Barrister Jide, we did discuss this during our newspaper reviews, and I asked a very fundamental question on the psychology of our leaders before they get into power and when they are in power. It's so disturbing to hear that the governor of Niger State is saying that there shouldn't be evacuation of trucks carrying out food out of the state to other places, and you wonder what is happening to the psychology of these people. And I'd love to ask this question in addition to the next question is, what do you think is going on in the minds of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu right about now, knowing that he created the avalanche that is sweeping across the entire country?
Thank you very much for that beautiful question. Let me start with the mindset of the governor. A wise man said, the rich man buys luxury last. The poor man buys luxury first. And with all sense of respect, I declare that our leaders are poor. Because let me use the example of my biological father, my parents. I'm here to boast that my father never bought a TV set, not because he could not afford it, but he prioritized education. He had 10 children. Only one did not graduate from the university by choice. And today, that name is flying high. But look at Nigeria. What is our total indebtedness? We just heard now all the allocations. That Ota Road, there was a time I was invited to come and handle seminar. I warned the organizer that please count me out. Next time you have this, it's an international seminar. Next time you have this international seminar and this road is not fixed, please remove my name or we do it virtually. And that is a state that has produced the leader of Nigeria at the hem of affairs. Twice! So you see the African. You see. And so they buy luxury first because they are poor. They can fly around, drive around in SUVs, And that's why I was glad when I read one past president held up in traffic when he was going to a state lamenting. So there's a total disconnect between the leaders and the led. So if the governor is saying food should not be moved away from Niger State, let me advise him that there are 3 types of inflation: the demand push, the cost push, and the built-in inflation. So this is cost push inflation now. There was a time some elements in the north said they were not going to move onions to the southeast. The onions got damaged. We are together in this country. We have a comparative advantages. Some are not producing, they have the power to purchase. And what is the essence of an economy? When you produce and there's no consumption. I think, and unfortunately, the place where we can amend our laws to accommodate high flyers in terms of good governance is loaded with brilliant minds, and it will shock you that even today the basic requirement for the president of Nigeria is fiscal certainty and things like that. So they need to study economics. I did a research on Africa, and Nigeria claims to be giant of Africa. About 40% of the total resources in the world are domiciled in Africa. And the same Africa is poor. You see, so I'm talking about what is going on through the mind of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. I cannot hold brief for him. You see, he promised us renewed hope. What the World Bank did was to come out to asks for action, that renewed hope needs results. You know what I mean? When it was released that about 104 million Nigerians are within the poverty bracket. And as an HR practitioner, I can see a danger coming, like Doctor mentioned. It's not NLC now. And that's what you call predictive analysis. Some of us have predicted this, that a time will come, that it won't be NLC, it will be 2UC. Citizens will come out and begin to confront government, and anyone they perceive is on the side of government, because that is one of the assignments of poverty. Poverty takes away decorum in any society. So these are issues. And let me also say this at this point in time. If you look at the 1978 Mexican Statement about Public Relations, it says it is the art and social science of monitoring trends, predicting their consequences, and recommending actions that can be taken, to ensure goodwill and mutual understanding between the clients and the publics. You see, right now, Abuja, which is the citadel of, which was the citadel of safety, where they all ran to. The honorables cannot visit their local constituencies. That Abuja is endangered now. So we are monitoring the trends. And I pray that we will not read one day that a deputy governor left home, he didn't arrive office because kidnappers kidnapped him on the way. Because that's what you call reinforcement theory in industrial psychology. If you look at the pattern of crime in Nigeria now, it's as if the non-state actors are overwhelming the state actors.
True. Very true.
They have access to sophisticated weapons. And I was advising the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, and I hope it flows into his mind, that there is a group of personalities internationally with local support, that all they do, the food they eat, the water they drink, the blood they drink, everything about them is to frustrate systems. They are behind the oil theft. One of the federal ministers, Honorable Alake, came out to confess that there are powerful people behind illegal mining. So if you have that group that represents the assignment of the devil in John chapter 10 verse 10, John 10:10 says, for the thief cometh not for but to kill, to steal, and to destroy.
Yeah.
Then you need to be on your feet, because they will infiltrate your circle. Some of them will smile with you, and they are not loyal to any political party. They are wicked people, and the Bible says any day they have not performed their wickedness, they cannot sleep. You see, and the former president of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, said that there was the cabal in his cabinet. You do know them. Some of them are highly respected. In fact, we identified about 400 of them who sponsor terrorism in Nigeria. So, and it's the most dangerous perception in any society is for the non-state actors to become more powerful than the state actors.
True.
And I believe that may be where we are heading. So right now, beyond the fact, in fact, I was shocked this morning listening to a news presentation that the National Assembly addressing the Controller General of Customs is saying we need to increase
the target.
Because we are owing. So what we are owing, what have we done with it? Doctor just mentioned the windfall of the fuel subsidy removal. So is it now used for the benefits of the citizens or for fueling the flamboyant lifestyles of the high and mighty? And I pray that it won't be dangerous in the near future to ride in an SUV in this country, because people are desperate. People are angry. There is hunger and anger in the land. And let me rest my case on these submissions in the interim.
All right. So say nature abhors a vacuum, and it's very important for us to understand the dynamics on which this works. Because if we juxtapose our situation in Nigeria as against what's obtainable in different parts of the world, I'm not even talking about first world countries, I'm talking about fellow third world countries and second world countries, or countries who took themselves from third world to second world. You know, there is a very clear-cut difference. There's something they are doing right that obviously we are not doing right in our country. Doctor, I would love to make a case from with Anambra, for example, because what concerns one state is equally gravitating towards another one. Professor Chukwuma Soludo, it's one man that has achieved so very much for himself, you know, rose from one cadre to another to becoming a professor, headed the CBN, was in charge of different, in fact, he is an expert in micro and macro economics. So when we talk about someone who is the best fit to ensure that the country goes from nothing to something, he is one person that should be singled out. Fortunately, he was given the helm of affairs as the governor of Anambra State. It's almost 4 years today. Anambra is worse than he met it. So the question now is, what are other countries doing right when it comes to leadership that we are not doing, in spite of the fact that the best are given opportunities to lead?
You see, in our own situation, leadership has become something people hunger after, not because of the responsibility involved, but because of the benefits of the office. And that is why, when I hear people say that they should let the president know, or the governor know this, and I ask myself, is the president deaf? Is the president blind? Is it that the president doesn't watch TV? Is it that the president doesn't read newspaper, or the governor? So when people say that his cabinet have screened him off from seeing the reality of life, and I ask myself, I say, which reality of life is it that they cannot see? Is it that all the days of their life they are busy attending to state matters, that they don't even have a little time to watch
check their phone
or check their phone or even watch or read newspapers? Because when you talk of Solidona, I'm a bit flustered that what is going on in the state is going on. However, I also want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes, especially when it is governors that are involved, I once in a while want to give them a benefit of doubt, especially when it comes to issue of security.
Okay.
Because as far as the issue of security is concerned, governors are just figurehead chief security officer. Because when you say the governor is the chief security officer of the state, if anything is happening in the state and he calls the police commissioner, the police commissioner will either listen to him, then the police commissioner will maybe call the IG to tell the IG that this is happening and the governor has said this, should I go ahead? If the IG says no, the police commissioner has no right to do it, because if he does it, they want to remove him or whatever. So the issue of Anambra State, there is no economy that can be buoyant if there is no security. It's like the same thing we've spoken about in Nigeria. Farmers are unable to go to the farm because of insecurity. Things are getting expensive by the day. So you now ask yourself, if the governor cannot guarantee security in the state, how can there be economic development in the state? And economic development is not usually at the big level. It is the little change that people, spare parts seller, akara seller, and so on and so forth. Those are the ones that build the economy.
That accumulates together.
Exactly. You say a drop of water makes a mighty ocean. That is the same way it applies. It is not the big industries that you build that will bring the money. It is just the little change people exchange among themselves. Because if the industries are there and there are no people to patronize the industry, what happens? So the little at the little level, I buy a piece of biscuit, this one buys a sachet of milk and all that and so on. Those are the things that continues to grow the economy. So why is it that most manufacturing companies, why are they doing all this sachet milk and in those days there was a particular milk company that was very popular that said that it was not going to do
Exactly.
it. But they are doing it today because they found out that the target audience, that the people they are targeting are very minute, and the ones that they think they are not targeting are the ones that are buying. So they have to come down and do the sachet. So in the issue of Anambra now, honestly, if you look at what Soludo achieved as CBN governor, you want to place it at par with what he's doing now in the state, you might think that he has not done well. Yes, he might not have done well, but you will not blame him, because security is the issue that makes things work.
But doctor, you would agree with me that in conflict management, in conflict resolution, it is basically about two persons. One is not in agreement with you and all of that. And that can be resolved, through dialogue, through persuasion, through different other means that we can arrest such kind of situation. So don't you think it is, disturbing to use that as an excuse not to get your economy going? Because in the case of Niger State, it's still the same security that has stopped farmers from visiting their farms. So isn't there a way governors in charge can put on the cap of a good PR manager and ask himself, how can I resolve this issue of conflict in my society, in my community, such that even those who are trying to harm others will see reasons to be part of the system so that it goes well for everybody?
Specifically, if we want to talk about Anambra, the issue of security that is the problem there is a federal thing. It is not state created. Why? It is the federal government that is holding Nnamdi Kanu. And the governor has said several times to the federal government that hand him over to me and Anambra leaders will know how to take care of it. The federal government has not listened to that. So even if, why is it that there is insecurity in the state? It is because of Nnamdi Kanu. If Nnamdi Kanu is left off the hook today and made to renounce, because I won't say that they should just leave him like that. When Governor Tinubu was coming in, when President Tinubu was coming in, I entered something on the on social media, and I said, if I were to be the president, I will not inherit the enemy of my predecessor. I know government is a continuum. I agree with that. But as far as I think, what I suggested then is that he should think of finding a way to solve this problem. Because whether we agree or not, the issue of Nnamdi Kanu is not judicial. It is political, and it is politics that will solve it. So a political solution should be found to solve that problem, and then if you solve that problem, I believe today that if steps are taken, Nnamdi Kanu is talked to, leaders of thought in the southeast, not even Anambra alone, in the southeast are gathered together and they talk to him and say that look, this man means well. He has promised us that he's going to address all the grievances that we have. Please calm down. Let us give you maybe 1 year or 2 years and see how it goes before things will calm down.
Exactly. Because, Barrister, the reason why we're actually mentioning, just like you did say, non-state actors is because of their influence in creating the economic downturn that we have today. And just like you had him say of what's happening in the Southeast, non-state actors creating the economic issues we have there. In the North also, it's equally the same issue. But you are a PR expert. Let's talk about reputation management, especially as it affects this issue we have today in our economy. We've seen Cardoso come out to say there's hope. The Naira is not valued that much. All of them are reputation management, trying to cushion the effect, even if the real root of the problem is still biting us, right? So how do you think we can find a balance of reputation management, which is very key, such that the external people can see us well, at the same time address issues that are really eating us up, like what we see happening in Niger State, in Osun, and other parts of the country?
Thank you very much. Let me distinguish between image management and reputation management. Image is what you are talking about, how you want to be perceived, as a country where you can invest. But the reputation is the actual happenings. So the reputation of Nigeria now is that there is no insecurity, there is high level of corruption, you see. And so it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. And there's a Chinese maxim that says that you cannot carve a rotten wood. So Nigeria needs to start carving a firm wood. And the Chinese maxim also extends by saying, and we have adopted that in public relations, that the best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. You see, if you don't go after the wicked souls who plunder our resources, who embezzle our money with the long arms of the law, we are joking. And Dr. mentioned something very sacrosanct. The National Assembly is very crucial in this. Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says that the National Assembly shall make laws for the peace, orderliness, and good governance of Nigeria. We now need true federalism in this country. Restructuring, state policing. Let them go and study from the US. Up to the county level, you take responsibility for security.
But how do you think that is feasible when Shetima boldly said that restructuring my foot?
But now, I did a study. We are not talking about food. We are talking about enjoying the goodness of this land. I did a study. The 10 poorest states in Nigeria, I think only one state or two featured in the south. The first is Sokoto State. The second was Katsina State, the state of the former president. We are not developing people. It's not about them that they fly around in jets and things like that. Sheikh Zayed, the founding father of the modern UAE, said, wealth is not money but developing people. You see, so forget about reputation. You see, investors do their independent evaluation of your business environment. We call it economic environment. So how can I come and invest right now in Kano State? Poultry farmers are folding up. So now, industrialists are leaving Nigeria. And our vice president, commendably so, went to Switzerland to market our potentials. What potentials? Fix Nigeria first. Charity begins at home.
True.
If there is security in the land, investments will come. Nigeria has a huge market population, over 200 million. We just discussed the issue of Sache. I was part of those monitoring that innovation. It hits the market big time, because you can imagine selling a product for 100 naira and about 100 million people buy it daily. I mean, and that tells government something. Except you appeal to the patriotism, acceptance of your citizens, you will fail. There are no two ways about it. When God created, in Genesis chapter 1 verse 28, Genesis 21, 28, he says, replenish the ark. don't punish the people. I mean, now importation is almost grounded. And now National Assembly is calling customs to go and increase revenue. So now you want people to be vomiting blood before you know there's hardship in the land. If you don't see the hardship will visit you. That is what is going on. I've asked it. So they have not sat down to imagine that these terrorists will come into the National Assembly with a helicopter and blow them off. Because we've been talking about suicide bombing. People are desperate. A poor man loses his sense of consciousness. Yeah. He does not value his life. So he can destroy other lives. So let them wake up. If we need state policing, why not? I said it. In Kwara and Ekiti State, you can imagine kidnappers going to kill a king in his palace. And you don't understand that. What else are we waiting for? It's not, we've come to the point where we have lost our sense of shock. People just die. People are afraid to travel. To travel from here to maybe about 700 kilometers, you pray and fast for 3 days. That is not life. That is bondage. The country is in bondage right now. You know, if nobody is telling them, I am telling them.
The country is in bondage.
Exactly.
Very
country is in bondage, and they know it. I'm talking of it. And so, if you have the privilege of driving in an armored vehicle, so you won't come down from the armored vehicle. you now buy armored toothpaste, armored toothbrush, and armored shapes. No. We have countries where prime minister will ride on bicycle.
Yes.
Go to Benin Republic. Go and profile leadership there. We find ourselves now that people don't even respect the laws anymore. Go to traffic light points. People have thrown caution into the air. I mean, how else do you describe anarchy? So we need a responsive government. So I'm throwing this whole challenge to the National Assembly. Because when we talk of restructuring, there is little the president can do about it, except by activating it. It's the National Assembly that will say, but how are they going to allow it with all the bogus enjoyment they have there? They are now telling them to go home. No. But let me say this, except you bridge the gap, the unreasonable gap between the wealthy and the poor, danger is on the way. I told NLC when they will call us that, hey, we don't need you. When the time comes, citizens will come out. They are beginning to come out now.
Exactly.
They are beginning to come out. So we wish our leaders the best, particularly the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Tinubu. But he should sit up, look around him, and realize that he may be surrounded by those who have decided he should fail. So if he wants to succeed, he knows what to do. And I am suggesting that if there is no consequence for crime, then failure is inevitable.
Doctor, your last words. What do you think that we can do to get it going so as to avoid the issues we have right now in the Sahel, where military had to take over because of similar issues? In 60 seconds, please. Thank you.
Well, the truth of it is that the president, the governors, the local government chairman, and all of them push their ears to the ground. In Lagos, it was a being power up. In Niger, it is the same, we are hungry. Abunchimuna, so it's the same thing they said. Every one of them is talking about being hungry. It is a different thing when people are lazy, they are not ready to work. Nigerians are not lazy. Nigerians are ready to work. Provide the atmosphere. Farmers are ready to go to their farm, provide the atmosphere. That is what we all need. Security is what Nigerians need to make things work. And then there should be less stealing and misallocation of funds at the governmental level.
Exactly. Just like we often say on our main conversation, Nigeria is one of those countries with the best form of followership, but unfortunately our leadership is really, really very weak. And what we pray and hope for is we want a country where our leaders would understand that they can only succeed when Nigerians succeed. I'd love to say thank you to Barrister Jide Ologo for being part of our show today. Thank you so very much. It was really an exciting time having you on our show today.
Thank you.
Thank
God
you.
bless Nigeria.
Yes, God bless Nigeria. And Dr. Olayinka Oyebile, thank you so very much for your very informative discussion today. And for you, what you would love to say, thank you also for being part of our show today. We really do enjoy your time with us. But please visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com and also like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. I am Henry Igwe. I'll see you tomorrow for yet another awesome time on our main conversation. This is Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV. Thank you for watching.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.